When I ask clients to share with me their time blocking attempts, they usually joke around and say, yeah, I just fight fires all day long. These are my time blocks. And they're partially joking, but they're mostly serious because they feel like their days are so reactionary that they don't have control over any part of their days. But when we start instituting time blocking, we can build in at least a little bit of structure in our days, because when we feel like we have at least some control, we tend to operate more productively throughout the day. So I will give you a few examples of possibilities. It doesn't mean, oh, we have to time block this exact way. It's just infinite possibilities going with that theme of how you can time block. So the first example is going to be an overall time distribution for a week. This does not mean that this person is going to work on carrier approvals on Monday all morning long. It means this is the approximate amount of hours they would like to devote to carrier approvals next week. And they want to devote this much time to materials and so on. So it's an overall distribution. Where do I want my time to go next week? And it helps the brain realize when you start spending too much time in one area, oh, we need to make sure we focus on these others so nothing falls through the cracks. Now, the other thing we need to keep in mind is that, how many of you work with humans? Anybody? Does anybody in here use technology during the day? All right. If you work with humans, if you work with technology, there is no way you can schedule out every single minute of the day, because what's going to happen? Somebody's going to screw it up. So that's why it's really important that within this overall time distribution, we also leave room for the unexpected. We have got to have gaps in our schedules to handle those unexpected things that roll in. Now, hopefully when you address patterns, you can scale back on some of those because of the preventive patches that you can apply, but we still need to allow time for the unexpected because we do work with humans and we do work with technology. So that's one example of time blocking, overall time distribution. Now I'm going to show you what time blocking might look like if you did it every day. Take a deep breath in and out. Okay, because some people go into a panic when I show them the next screen. Oh my gosh, look at all those colored blocks up there. Could somebody like that be that structured? So here's the trick. Some of those time blocks are non-negotiable. That means they have to happen. For this particular person, the non-negotiable was the morning routine. The other non-negotiable was the class because it involved other people. You couldn't just change a date or time. Everything else could be Tetrised. Remember that video game from the 80s with the blocks? Or if you know Rubik's Cube, you move the blocks around. The rest of those blocks could be Tetrised as necessary around people's schedules. Notice the blank boxes that are kind of the yellowy, orangey color. That's the padded time, the cushion time, the reserved time for the unexpected. And they based this particular person on the patterns they realized they had of when fires came in. It wasn't always exact, but they were pretty darn close to it. So they did their best not to schedule their meetings during these patterns of fires. Unfortunately, you don't know ahead of time if somebody is going to cause a fire for you, right? Because a colleague isn't going to call you up and say, hey, Chris, next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, I'm totally going to screw up your day. Nobody makes appointments for their fires. That is why you have to leave gaps in your schedule. And if anybody has access to your calendar and that anybody can add events to your calendar, it's important that you schedule some of these blocks in there. Because even though your colleagues love you and they don't want you to work too hard, if they see blank space on your calendar, they're going to say, oh, you're not doing anything. Let me assign you to this meeting. Because we know how we love meetings.